everybody, Ty here. Long time no see. It definitely feels like it's been a while because for those of you that have been longer time followers of the channel, you know that I normally post pretty often, but this has been probably one of the slowest seasons that I've ever encountered since I've had this channel, and probably the slowest season with the tropics that I can remember since 2013. Keep in mind, this is peak hurricane season, and of course today we're doing our tropical outlook as you saw in the title, but usually during this time of year we're usually watching several areas. We only got one, and it's not the most impressive area at that. Keep in mind there is a 50% chance of development, but development is going to be pretty slow due to environmental factors, which we'll go over what those are, and we'll kind of take a look at our chances as we continue to go through what is considered to be the most active month for hurricane season, which is September. So if we were to go ahead and take a look at the satellite imagery, it's over here where we're watching, and as you can see, there's nothing that really pops out to the eye that says, oh my goodness, this is a tropical system. It's just a disorganized cluster of showers and thunderstorms over open waters right now. With the waters being warm, of course, it's going to help increase chances of development just a little bit here. But there are, of course, other factors that we usually will go over here that you're going to see in just a minute. But overall, it does look like we're going to be in a stretch where the main development region picks up, and we'll probably have to watch some areas closer to home. That's pretty much in season for this time of year. And there's actually a tropical hazard outlook over here. And if we look over towards where the North America is and over towards the main development region, the areas in the red is where you have decent confidence of tropical development. The striped area is 20%. Once you get into the solid red area, you're in 40%. Obviously, towards the eastern Pacific is where the most activity is, but usually that's really a non-factor for the U.S. here. It's really this area here and this area here that we'll have to keep an eye on. Right now, as far as the 2 to 3 week stretch here, not the highest percentage we've seen, but still something worth keeping an eye on as we go forward. As we all know, once we start getting towards October, we start to really kind of downtrend with tropical activity. This year has been a little bit of an outlier here, especially with the lack of activity, I should say, at this point. So while we're getting through peak season, I would say relatively unscathed, I still wouldn't let my guard down at this point. So let's go ahead and actually take a look at those environmental factors here. We're kind of in the middle of the model cusp right now because we have the GFS, or GFS ensemble I should say, still loading in. This started loading in about an hour ago, if I'm being completely honest. I'm distracted by the football game right now. But we're kind of locking in at this point just to get this video up for you guys. But fact in the matter is, and we'll have the European ensemble up too, if we put these in a loop, and we'll start out with the GFS. What I've noticed is there's quite a bit of wind shear on the north side of where this storm is expected to kind of meander a bit. I won't go as far as to say it will develop. There's a decent chance that it will, but there are obviously no guarantees at this point. And the Euro kind of holds on to that same trend as well. But also, if you look closely at the Euro, especially as it goes further out in the range at this point, you can see multiple areas of low pressure kind of coming off that West African coast here. So that tells me that we're in a phase with the MJO towards where we're going to start to see more potential, but potential does not have guarantees with it. Especially during this time frame right now, look at how that wind shear is all the way into the reds here. So some very strong upper level wind shear, which is terrible for tropical development. It really kind of hampers things in general over towards these regions when it comes to hurricanes and tropical cyclones. So it's going to keep our development chances pretty low. Looking at the European ensemble as we get into the long range here, because remember, this is still loading. We're only looking about a week in advance on the GFS. The trend doesn't really show that wind shear really going away, just weakening ever so slightly, but still being strong enough to where it would help kind of hamper development in the medium to long range here. So a lot we're going to be keeping track of here, but nothing in particular that's really caught my eye to be concerned about. The other key factor, and this is what's kind of helped those last few systems kind of just wither away and not really form into much of anything, of course, has been the dry air. You look for these areas right here in the brown, and usually they end up circulating just off the northwest of the African coast here. and then sometimes this dry air ends up funneling in here. You set these into motion once again, and the operational run here usually goes a little bit further out in the range than the ensemble, or it loads faster, I should say. And you can see that there's a little bit less dry air, but that combined with the wind shear really makes for a, I wouldn't say uninhabitable environment or unfruitful environment, but I would go as far as to say that it definitely makes development more of an uphill battle. Not impossible, but definitely not easy, I should say. As you can see, though, based off the operational runs here, both the GFS and the Euro are kind of showing a similar deal where multiple low pressure areas kind of pop up here. Dry air kind of is waning a little bit in the short range. As we get into the longer range, it looks like it does begin to come back into play a little bit more prominently. So it is something that we're going to have to keep watch of. And then also, the way that this ridge ends up moving here may also play a factor into how much or how little dry air we ultimately end up getting. So let's go ahead, take a look at our ensemble members here for both model runs. And this is where things kind of get wacky a little bit, can't lie. But what I'm most interested in, and I need to move these a little bit faster so you aren't here for 10 billion years. But what I'm seeing is the GFS ensemble models are very aggressive with this area of interest that we have now with the 50% chance of development. I'm not so sure if I'm on board with that right now. If it can overcome the wind shear over here at this point, maybe it gets going. But even then, if it does, notice that it pretty much trends out the sea and affects literally no one. Bermuda, it even turns so far away that the only thing that you would get, if anything, would be waves and maybe rip currents at best. As far as the European ensemble is concerned, if you look towards the bottom left corner of your screen, you see pretty much the same thing. It stays a little bit further out towards the west, but ultimately the same thing kind of happens. It ends up turning out to sea, and we never see anything else of that system. And then as far as any other low pressure areas, it's the GFS and the Euro are just kind of in disagreement here. You can see areas pop up, but nothing in particular that really stands out with high confidence that we have a bigger system that could develop in the long range here. So I really think the environment itself is playing a huge part in kind of keeping things at bay as we go forward here. So that being said here, let's go ahead and kind of finish this out. Should have had this one up a little bit sooner, but we're going to go ahead and fix that right now. So looking at the 10-day run here, and this is a blend of all of our weather models, GFS, European, and other ensemble models from different countries here. The main thing that we're going to be looking at is this little disturbance that we're watching over towards West Africa and the main development region. Pretty much everything has this heading out to sea. Hence why there's not really much fanfare behind this, which, really there shouldn't be. So that being said, the other area of interest that's kind of popped up on the outlook here has been over towards the Gulf. As of right now, I don't see anything on weather models that's really caught my eye here, but I'll be keeping an eye out, of course. We did see that the MJO in the last outlook that we did was a little bit more active in the enhanced rainfall phase here. So if the wind shear can lighten up here within the next week or so, we could have something. There is a setup in which that could be possible, but we'll have to do a tropical update if anything really develops from that point. But anyways, guys, I appreciate you all bearing with me during the quiet times here. And I appreciate you all tuning in, as you already know. And I will see you guys in the next one. Everyone take care and have a wonderful rest of your Saturday.